And our recording should now be started. And we are lucky enough today to have with us Sheri Cook and Greta Jenkins from Lighthouse Center for Vital Living. So I will let them introduce themselves and jump right in.
Okay, thank you. So I'm Sheri Cook, and I'm the Assistive Technology Division Lead. Well, I'll let Greta introduce herself, and then we can explain more about us as we go on.
I'm Greta Jenkins. I'm an Assistive Technology Specialist at the Lighthouse, and we share an office. So it'll look like Sheri's the one talking the whole time with the blue around her, but it's just that we don't get a feedback loop. So we're looking and listening and speaking out of that. And let me know if you can't hear me. I've been sick. I'm on the mend, but my voice is still not backed up to 100%. So I'm trying my best.
We've been giving her a very comforting and warm, hard time here with her voice, but in a nice, nurturing way. So, and what we did Greta put together a nice, informative but not super long PowerPoint, because I know we don't have much time. But what we're kind of hoping too is just to see if there are, we can run it in the background and go over it quickly, and then wanting to see if you guys have specific questions for us too. So if you want us to slow down and go through the PowerPoint in a full, complete manner, then let us know. Otherwise, it would be nice to kind of see what kind of, what needs you guys are seeing, and to see if there's, we may have funding to buy some devices too, if you guys see a need for a certain device. Again, we'll kind of go through this quickly, but for over 100 years, we were known as Lighthouse for the Blind, and then we became, for maybe about 6 years, the Lighthouse Center for Vision Loss. And they hired me on about 3.5 years ago, and about 3 months or 6 months after that, but it all falls together because COVID happened, that we expanded our mission and we changed our name, and we are the Lighthouse Center for Vital Living. You'd be amazed at how many people still, when we go out to see them, say, "Oh, you can't help us. I don't have vision loss and I'm not blind." And it's like, no, we can. So we're just really trying to push that out there, that we have this new name and we have the expanded mission. So anything to promote independence and aging in place and safety. Our 3 divisions are our adjustment to blindness, which is our original division, and still going very, very strong. We have amazing professionals that have moved here from all over that we are super lucky to have as our instructors. Our Assistive Technology program, which is new, the newest program, and we started that, and now we have 6, I think, full-time people in our program. Greta's studying for her ATP, which will really help me out to have a second, and she is extremely knowledgeable, and her background is very well versed. So, and then we have occupational therapy, and so our OTs can go out and bill medical insurance, but they can work with people. They specialize in vision loss and blindness, but they can serve everyone. So,
something to think about as we go. I don't know if we want to spend too much time on this specifically, but
right. So what we want to know, even, just quickly, if you just one or two examples, what are the biggest needs you are seeing for your students and people with disabilities in the area in which you work, or even maybe in your private personal life? And even if we have one or two people that have a comment for that.
Feel free to type it in the chat window or unmute yourselves, pick up the mic.
We're in a school setting. Some of the biggest needs that we have are things like reading and math, and just being accessible, making reading accessible for our students.
Okay.
And I would say like communication, being able to communicate, even though they have different types of disabilities, or daily living skills.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So the daily living skills and communication, I feel really confident in. Greta is amazing with the reading, the math. we in fact just met with a student at the a school in Wisconsin, and went over some things and some ideas. So if you want, I don't know, Greta, if you want to briefly talk about what kind of tools we decided to try with that person.
Yeah, I'll get into it when we go more
Okay.
into some of our later slides. I didn't mention in my introduction, but I do have a master's in education and academic technology, and I worked in that field for 3 years before shifting over to more broad assistive technology. So
yeah, so it's amazing that we found, you know, even to expand and to be able to hire someone else that has interest in assistive technology and in getting their ATP, somebody that has their area of interest and expertise is different than mine. So it's kind of like, this is going to be amazing because, you know, we really can kind of like be these layers of what we are interested in and what our backgrounds are. Really quick, while you guys are here, we want to go over our Tech for Connectivity. We call it our T4C grant. It's providing technology devices, training, and services to connect people to Medicaid waiver and HCBS, home and community-based services. So we wanted to mention that because I know, you know, you're working in the districts, and we'll show that in the background as I'm talking. These are some of our common devices that we're purchasing. We have funds. We have a good amount of funds to use for purchasing people devices. So if you have a student that you're working with where maybe you know that they have, they're either on, and probably I would assume a lot of them are on MA or some type of a waiver, and they have a community-based service like they have a PCA, or they have maybe a job coach, or maybe they're going to be working with Voc Rehab. Maybe they have are planning. Maybe they're going to be doing like a day program. Anything like that. We have funds to, and we have been purchasing like iPads where then the person can connect with maybe their mental health services or their doctor appointments. Maybe they're even at home, and they would also be able to use it for connecting with one of the staff if needed. We just you know, we've helped with getting phone and phone service. We can pay for the phone service for through March of 2024, and we're trying to keep things sustainable for people after that. So we're trying to make sure that we use connections and use services that are more affordable that somebody can sustain after our grant is over in March 2024. But the tablets, the phones, the computers, remote monitoring systems, those examples, those devices that are purchased through this grant for the person that needs it, those are theirs to keep. And so this service, like if somebody needs a phone and needs phone service, or needs a tablet with LTE, that's option 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
A tablet with LTE, like, you know, maybe they don't have internet service in their home, but they need to, you know, that they're going to need to connect to one of their other services. We can help with paying for not only the tablet, but then that LTE on that tablet up until March of 2024. Everything is a case by case basis. So if you would think of anyone or know of anyone, you've heard their parents or their caregiver, or you maybe during the IEP meeting, you've heard somebody say, well, you know, we want to get so-and-so set up with this, you know, this would be great virtually. Maybe it's hard to get them to the doctor. Just keep us in mind for the fact that we do have some funding right now, and we have a good amount of funding to use by June. So why AT? And you probably are all very familiar, but it's just the gaining that physical access, the universal design of learning, the decreasing barriers, the increasing cognitive and emotional capacities. So and anything, you know, that somebody may be having a barrier with, there probably, as you know, there probably is a device or a modification that we can work on to see if we can overcome that or increase their safety and independence.
We can maybe skip this because I think everybody's got a good idea. of what these things are. We'll present a couple options, and we do want to leave sufficient time for just you to ask more specific questions. One of the first things that we always look at when we're recommending devices or tools is just look at the settings of what they already have. If it is like, I'll talk a little more about making reading more accessible. Look at ways that you can do that using what the device already has built in. So things like adding the captions, turning the captions on Google Chrome. So when they play a video or audio, it automatically starts captioning, sizing, coloring, screen readers, magnification, contrast, for color blindness, those kinds of things. So always looking at that first to make sure that the device itself is as accessible as possible. Somebody mentioned communication, which is great. AAC, augmented communication devices, things as simple as flashcards for a student may be the easiest thing. And then Sheri, do you want to talk a little bit about the Revive, if that's not something that people know about?
And so, and I'm not sure, I don't know, Tina, if you've ever used the Revive, but Revive, or if any of you are familiar with it, it's been around for a few years. It looks like a Fitbit, and the student or person can wear it, and the teacher, the para, the family, case manager can have the free app and on their phone. And so what it is like, say if you have that student that needs some gentle reminders during the day, or maybe needs a little reminder or notification if behavior is different. Maybe a mom just wants to send, don't forget your backpack at home or at the school. So you can program the app, and then the teacher or the para can be a little more distant, but still be able to communicate with that student. Again, the family can communicate with them. And so we do have a Revive in our lending library. It's one of those devices that, well, I think because of COVID, it's been sitting on the shelf for a while because nobody really needed that. And so I wanted to just bring that up just to remind people, because it is actually a pretty nice little device. And then as far as like anything other, as far as other communication, there are many different types of pretty easy to use and apps out there that we can load onto iPads or tablets to make accessible for anyone. And there's also, of course, the lower tech options of just using a step-by-step, or, we have many different AAC devices, low tech. We are a STAR partner, so we will be getting many devices that will be housed here. And it just hasn't happened with some STAR has been a little short staffed down there. So it has not happened yet. We thought it was going to happen at the end of January, but it hasn't yet. So we're hoping soon. But there will be some more extensive dedicated AAC devices that we'll be housing here as well. We'll get the AMI feeding robot will be here.
Good transition.
The what?
Good transition.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think of that. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but it is really really a cool device. Kind of looks like it should have been from the Jetsons. And so we'll have more devices coming. We also are looking at, like what could we order? What would people need more often if we had them here? That would be that people would want to borrow and get out. Daily living, and so that could be anything from meal prep. That could be just adding, tubing to your standard utensils to build up, or weighted utensils to the liftware steady, that will steady out your hand or the level. Dressing aids, it could be apps for reminders or step-by-step to how to dress, or what kind of weather or clothes to wear during certain weather, or like calendar events in the morning. Like this is your, it could be an app, daily living app, where this is your calendar for the day. You have this is the weather today. This is the date, or even setting reminders, medication management, safety symbols, different kinds of independent living skills, devices for those independent living skills. And we do have as well, if you have a student that you're working with that is blind, new to blindness, losing their vision, or significant vision loss, we do have, again, our orientation mobility specialists that can go out and help with doing, like, how do you vacuum, how to do certain things around the house, different daily living activities, or maybe even just using an Alexa microwave, or marking home appliances, those kind of things. So daily living is huge. And so if you have some questions or thinking of devices for daily living, just reach out to me, because I probably can get you something or have an idea for you of what that you can use for that activity that you are doing.
We have lots of things in the library.
Yeah, we do have a lot. We do have a lot of the daily living aids in the library. So I'm not sure what our next slide is.
Just a couple things I wanted to touch on of potentially what you're already aware of, but two things. Down in the bottom left, there's a LiveScribe Smart Pen. We have 2 of them in our lending library. So this is a pen that students can use to handwrite notes, but it digitally syncs with a smartphone app. So you have a digital version of those. You can also use handwriting to characters and have it read it out. They're really neat. And then my personal favorite piece of just general software and technology is Microsoft's OneNote. It does everything, anything and everything, I feel, and it's one of the most powerful learning tools, both for organization and for content, like you mentioned, making reading more accessible. It has something called the Immersive Reader that is a great tool for taking content. You can use the web clipper for it to take content off of the web. So if students have reading assignments there, or even scanning a PDF, you can do it right from your phone and have the Immersive Reader read it out. You can change the spacing. You can have it identify different parts of speech using colors. There's a picture dictionary, a translation. So it's excellent for modifying any kind of reading content. You can insert media, recordings, do freeform drawings. So this is one of the best tools that I recommend for everyone. I use it myself in my professional and academic careers, and it's great. Something else to think about, I won't necessarily list specific examples, just so we have time for some questions at the end, but always thinking about browser extensions for things, again, just to manipulation of content, altering the modality. So maybe having a text-to-speech tool there, being able to complete and do a video recording if they need to do that for assignments, or remember how to do something, recording their web page. And then note-taking and content saving. It's excellent. I didn't mention Focus. There's some things where you can add on there. That my favorite one is the Forest app. It's a smartphone app, but also a Chrome extension. You can grow little trees, and you can whitelist websites so that you can't access them during the set focus time. And it's a fun way to make it a little more engaging to stay on task. Some of the things that we're doing through our Tech for Connectivity program, but also just in general, Smart Home, we call it Smart Home, but it could be Smart Classroom, is working with we usually use Alexa, but whatever the person already has, if they already have an ecosystem set up. So maybe in your classroom, one of the things that we've done with a couple of our people in their homes is adding commands to their AAC devices that then activate the smart home items, so that anyone using an AAC device can still use the smart home. It's really cool. Something we've just been doing recently. So the device would say, Alexa, play music, or Alexa, turn off my lamp. And they just tap the button, it reads it out, and then Alexa responds. It's been really fun to see.
Yeah, it has been a lot of fun.
My Alexa just went off too after you said that.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing that we've seen a lot of want, and all of our devices, I think, are out right now, are the GPS and alerting devices. Those are another thing that can possibly be covered under T4C, our grant, where we could purchase that device for somebody. So we have someone that a young adult wanting to learn how to take the bus independently, the DTA independently, and one time missed a stop, and no one knew where he was, and he didn't know where he was. Well, using some type of whether it's a gizmo or the angel sense or some other type of GPS, the parent or the staff can have parent or staff can have be able to find out just with the tap of their app, and they'll get notifications to, oh, this is where so and so is. They can call in and check in and see if that person's okay. That person, if they get nervous or feels uncomfortable while riding the bus due to a situation that's happening, can hit the SOS button and call their parent or PCA. Even I've had them used in the school before, where a younger student left the playground one day, and the school district, it took a little while to find that student. And so, or, staff, we are seeing a lot of staff shortages in group homes, adult foster care group homes. So we've been adding like contact sensors to doors where staff can get alerted to so-and-so left the room, maybe a mat on the floor where they left their bed. We do suggest the Apple Watch for somebody if they're it can detect falls. There's other fall detections as well, other personal emergency response systems as well that we can take out and show people. I want to go back really quick. Another thing that I've used with people, it's created for somebody, most people with vision loss and blindness, but I've used it for people that maybe have some troubles with reading, is just the free loading the Seeing AI app on somebody's phone or tablet if they have it, and they can hover over the document and it will read it to them too. So anyway, I just didn't want to forget about that. But there, if anyone needs trials on any of those things, again, those are things that we can push the apps through to our devices that are in our programs. So
could you put what it's called in the chat just so people know?
Oh, sure.
It's only available for iOS devices, unfortunately.
Yep, and Envision AI is available for Android, but they, I believe they may charge a $14 fee. I think there's a trial period that you have, but yeah.
So speaking of that, we saw a question before the session come in about blindness instruction, especially for young children. And this was our vocation rehab therapists for blindness, low vision's recommendation is to consult with the teacher of the visually impaired for the student. They'll know best. And making it fun, using scanning games, incorporating stuffed animals, having activities that make it a little bit competitive, like scavenger hunts, to find things and increase their learning, and just reminding everybody that it's okay for them to struggle and learn and watch them and not always step in even when you feel like it. And then there's this link, I think the presentation will get shared afterwards, but this link for games to learn iOS voiceover for any students who are blind or low vision, learning iOS devices and how to use that particular screen reader. We've mentioned the library a few times, but almost always a device exists or an adaptation can be made. So let us know. We have a device loan demo program, so you can have something for up to 45 days to try it out and see if it works. Like Sheri mentioned, we may even have funding through some of our grants to be able to help out with that. Otherwise, it's a good way for you to make sure that whatever funds the school is going to spend will be spent in something that will be used. I also want to mention other AT and resources, Minnesota Star and the Pacer Center, especially the Simon Pacer Technology Center housed out of there. These pictures are hyperlinked, so you can click the links in them. when these get shared, but they all have webinars. They each have lending libraries as well. So if we don't have something, they might. And they offer incredible and very detailed deep dives into lots of different learning AT and just AT in general. So I recommend signing up for their 2 mailing lists as well.
And I do want to see, Greta, I don't know if it's possible to share that resource list now, or if we should send it to Julie and she can share it.
Yeah, we can do that.
We have a really great resource list that's put together that we'll share. That's just talking about some of the funding and how we go out and provide our services being a nonprofit. And then I think the
last one is just us. How to get a hold of us.
And it's best, Greta and I are both usually out in the field. So email works really, really well. I mean, I don't want to speak for Greta, but for me, email works amazing.
Email's preferred.
Yeah. We're just trying to get out. We're starting to divide and conquer, but we've been busy, and we realized we're going to be really busy until June, trying to get a push. We don't want to not use the funds that we were given, and so that's kind of the push for us to get the word out there, and then just the resource list.
We'll share it.
We'll share it. Okay, we'll share it. It is great. It has some really good information on there that you can click and look on for like, there's the app wheel for what are you looking for, and it's in categories. Here's the good apps. Who else you can connect with, like whether it be Pacer or Minnesota Star. And then there's lists of devices, and then there's links there that you can click on. I see Greta did share that there. There's links that you can click on to see the device, the cost of it, where you can order it, that kind of thing too. So please reach out though if you guys have any questions or you want to borrow something. And I think if I remember right, you guys are members. You can borrow from Pacer. We also are. So if you're not, or you would rather not put the time and research into looking to see what devices to borrow, you can ask us and we can borrow from them and get them out to you, and then try to make it easy for you. But so I don't know. Do you guys have any questions that you can think of? I know we're running out of time here.
I just want to clarify. You said that if we're not a member of one of those AT ones that requires a membership, we're able to order through you?
Yep.
That's
so
awesome.
So if there's something that you're looking for, and if we don't have the device, we can borrow from Pacer, or we can borrow from Star, because we're a Star partner, so we can borrow from any of our other partners throughout the state.
That's
Pacer's
great.
loan time is a little bit less. It's only like 2 or 3 weeks. So,
and that's just because they have to ship it to us. That's part of we have to ship it to us. We have to ship it back. So we take off about a week because of the whole shipment thing.
Mm-hmm. That's great though for some of us that only need one thing a year, because the membership isn't quite worth it. But that's thank you. That's great.
I see Julie just made a comment too about Pacer. So we went down actually and toured, and it's a wonderful place to tour. Because like I said, we're going to have our demo area in our new building, and so we wanted to go down and see how they're set up and everything. And we got some really good ideas on what we are going to want to do with our space. We're going to have a really large space, so it'll be really nice, and we're excited about it. We have mixed emotions about being downtown, but we're excited also about the bigger space and accessibility for people to come in and see what we have.
So when are you moving downtown?
Construction's happening right now, so we are hoping June, because we gave our 6-month notice for our lease. It's kind of sad too, because we've been in this building forever, but we need to grow, and so we're going to give it a good try downtown for a couple years and see if we can make it work. it's going to be really important for our orientation and mobility, our adjustment to blindness, because in the winter time, they do their training out in the elements, and a lot of the sidewalks aren't cleared. So accessibility, we have the skywalk entrance. It's a 3-story building, and so we'll have First Street entrance and then the skywalk entrance. And so the instructors will be able to take the students right out through the skywalk, and it'll be much safer and warmer and drier for them to do that. And we're on a bus line here too, but being like right on the bus line. So it has many things that will be good for the students, and then the people that we serve. Parking will be a little more difficult for us staff, but we have already thought ahead and making sure that we have parking for people stopping in to pick up, or people coming in for a therapy session, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's been a big process. We'll be right across the street from the Y. So on the upper side.
Great. Are there any other questions or comments, thoughts?
I think just a comment. I think it's just, Sheri has been such a great resource for me when we need more than one type of equipment, that I have something and she has another one, or just asking her, do you have this? And just asking, do you have anything like this? Or, like a stand for a communication device. Mounts. Whatever you can think of, you can just ask and see if they have it, or she'll look at Pacer or Star. It's just a great resource, and don't hesitate to ask them any question.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, but we will hang around for more questions if there are more questions out there. Thank you so much for this great content. It is an amazing